Well, in the course of a couple of days, for a baby bird to show up at the front door, confiding in me that it needs help getting out of the sidewalk, and then being full of life, and then a few days later, it's already died because we couldn't figure out what to feed it because it didn't have its natural habitat with its real parents, and like now I feel like if I had known it was that vulnerable, I feel like I should have brought it into my room. But then I also think about personal considerations that like bring animals into my room or from outdoors. Like I could get uh, with immune system compromise, like having anything like microorganisms or whatever. That put aside, though, I like that. Some of the considerations are economic, like just to buy the Gatorade container. Like I was like trying to get, and then also, you know what I said about pigeons is it looks like if their parents aren't taking care of them, you have to be like a specialized veterinarian. And I was trying to brainstorm something about like, well, I drank the Gatorade. Now let's give it some milk. This is going well. Like I'm telling myself that. Why didn't I do it right then? It was like 2 in the morning, and the bird's sitting up there. And it's just like it didn't register. It's like my brain's paralyzed sometimes, and that goes back to our brain paralysis seminar. It's like where I like, what is it that makes people like so apathetic that they just sit there thinking of what they could do, but they don't like get up and do it. It's like that. That's like the jihad al nafs. It's like you have to battle your nafs of just sitting there and and like silent contemplation, but you don't like get up and do something about it. Like it's obvious I can look back and really be feel bad and like ask Allah for repentance, but how obvious it was that it was like a bird that was like a lot more vulnerable, that it wasn't going to have a chance on that roof with parents of other birds. They are parents of other pigeons. They don't just automatically latch onto a bird, and I don't know why I kept telling myself, oh, it'll just be it's back in its natural habitat. And so consideration number two is oh yeah, how to dispose of, like once I saw that this beautiful bird had died, and it was like had like its what's it eyelids over its eye, like translucent eyelids closed, and it was stiff, and it looked like it might have died for a few hours. Or so that I felt really bad, and then the next thing I had to go through my mind was like, what, well, like there's not really a formal funeral for animals. And but I do remember an early argument. I last time a pigeon had died while I was just trying to pull it out of the street, and it died right in my hands right at that moment. And then the lady's like, oh, "Throw that in the garbage, like just get it away from me or something." But like that doesn't really seem like there isn't really I don't know a prescribed sunnah for a deceased animal, but I just throw it in the garbage doesn't seem right to me because based on like how until a human that died is lowered into the beer, the Sunnah says that they can hear what's going on around them. They can hear like their funeral guests until they're lowered into their grave. So it's like, and it's like why they say hasten, even whether it's a righteous or a wicked person, to their grave, because if they're righteous, they'll be being rushed off to their reward, and if they're wretched, they're rushed off to get rid of them. So like all animals are pure, and so it deserves like a nice last day of its body being like it's deceased, but perhaps it can hear what's going on. So and automatically I took it over to this tree and kind of tossed it under the tree because it was behind a gate in the street island, because there's like this little mini park. It's like bird sanctuary, so it was like it had birds above it, so I felt pretty good about that. But there is no prescribed sunnah. It's just except being respectful in some manner to life, and I'm not just going to throw it in a garbage bag. like I thought about it, but I'm like that just doesn't seem very Islamic. It doesn't seem like a halal way to respect life and dispose of it. So I put it in that bird sanctuary area. I don't. I hoping like maybe that like can like yeah. Well, it was just like beautiful feathers. I like you can't just throw that in a garbage bag. I can't just throw it in a dumpster either. I'm gonna kind of toss it over here where I hope no one sees it for a while. So I was trying to be respectful to the living and the dead of this animal that just like trusted me. It was like communicating with me. It feels terrible to see that it's already died, and then so at least I want to be respectful after it died. I didn't want to just like act like an apathetic moron and just throw it in the garbage. Like, well, thanks for the memories on the TikTok. At the time of it, I was like felt good that I had pulled it off the street, but like I was so high on myself